Revelator John.
Hello Revelators, welcome to Revelator John. So today tackling the big issue of the day is snow. That's right, the 10th of December here in good old Blighty, and we've managed to get ourselves some snow on the ground. Just not maybe 1 or 2 inches here or there. Certainly not anything to write home about. So in the Midlands, got a little bit more than in the south. So where I am, just in between the south and the Midlands, I suppose, it's we've got a fine covering. But what I really wanted to talk about is we're a bit of an embarrassment when it comes to dealing with snow or dealing with the conditions, because most people now are sensible enough that they acknowledge that they're not really prepared to go out in the snow, and they know that the deep snow or thick snow, or they're either not used to it, the driving is not good enough, or they haven't got the right tires on the car and everything. But also the authorities are just not really geared to cope with it. And they talk about different types of snow and all that kind of stuff, but the reality is we just don't have enough snow in this country to be able to deal with it effectively, and also to be able to cope with it as drivers or motorbike riders or whatever we are. So you go along the roads, and even this morning, even with a couple of inches of snow, what happened was that lots of big roads, big trunk roads, got blocked. People had to abandon their cars because they were stuck on the road for a couple of hours. Obviously the cold, freezing temperatures. It's all cumulative effects, and people can't deal with it. Obviously accidents galore. When I was coming in tonight, just sort of driving in about 4 o'clock, lots of the trees had fallen onto the road, and even going up hills, lots of cars were struggling as well. I was in a Jeep 4x4, so it wasn't an issue for me. But what happened was that I was going over the hills, and temperature dropped down below zero, so you had patches of a wet road where obviously it just turned to slush, and then it went suddenly into ice. So actually quite tricky driving conditions. So even though we can we are a bit of an embarrassment, the problem is we're just not geared up to cope with these conditions, and that's why people are always getting into trouble, even with a slight dusting of snow in this country. If we have it for sustained periods and people get used to it, they either just don't drive, and also the local authorities catch up with the problem as well. That's probably the biggest thing, because we're not geared up for it. You're not geared up to cope with it straight away. Whereas if we have a sustained period of snow, then usually the local authorities can deal with it, or they block roads and say you're not allowed to go down that road or whatever it is. So I got another interesting drive home tonight. Now I was going to be riding in tonight, and I was supposed to be doing a big bike ride today, but you know what, I just thought better of it in the end. And it's not one of those situations where it was that bad that I wouldn't go on a bike. It was one of those situations where you just got to watch what the other drivers are going to do and all the mistakes. And funny enough, I'm glad I didn't go out on the bike, compared to going out in the car, because of all the errors that I saw people doing, and either driving too fast or driving way too close to other cars. So, and one of the big things, whether you're driving on mud or on road or ice or slippery conditions, it's just speed. Really got to slow down and just take it easy, and just be smooth and not heavy, not heavy braking or any kind of touch braking really. I think that's one of the key things, and not panic, but still not be overcautious and not over hesitate as well, because that's what gets you into trouble. And if you're unsure, just stay off the roads. It's just one of those things. Even we had the local police and national police services as well, putting out warnings to people, and they do this all the time. Unless your journey is absolutely necessary, don't drive. Well, actually, most people's journeys are necessary because they either have to get to work or go and get stuff or whatever. So we've still got to function. And that's the problem. We don't know how to function in this country without a bit of, when we have a little bit of snow, until it takes us a few days to catch up, and then we usually can start functioning again. So anyway, it's been one of those days. There's a big hot, you know, it's always a talking point anytime we get a little bit of snow, is that how people can't cope with it. And you know, we could, if we had just some snow tires, or everybody invested in some snow socks and stuff. But even so, you know, we probably get snow about a day, 2 days a year in England, for certainly. In the mountains, in Wales and Scotland, yeah, they get it every year. They're more used to it. But you know, here we're not. So you know, it's you know, when you look at other countries, Scandinavian countries, Canada, you know, North America, whatever, you know, they're just thinking, you know, that's snow. You know, what are you messing about with? You know. So anyway, so this is just an observation today. Again, we've kind of embarrassed ourselves. Again, we kind of let ourselves down. But you know, not on purpose, not from anything that we've done completely wrong, or you know, we're just not geared up for it. So another day on the roads, another day mopping up accidents, and lots of chaos with abandoned cars and all that kind of stuff. Fallen trees just from the weight of the snow, which wasn't a great deal anyway, so I was surprised a lot of these trees had fallen down, you know, obscuring the road. But then, because it was quite wet snow, different type of snow, this is quite wet, and because it hit the ground, then the freezing temperatures, then it was freezing, so then it was kind of very, it wasn't compact, it was compacted snow in some places, and then it froze. So that was that. And we had this problem about 4 or 5 years ago with fallen snow, this wet snow, and then it froze, and then it was like an ice rink, and then just, it was chaos for lots of people. So anyway, right, so hopefully in the next couple of days this should all go away anyway. We've got some more snow forecast for tonight and for tomorrow. Should all go away, and then we're back to you know, riding bikes and doing all sorts of crazy stuff on the roads and off roads as well, getting muddy hopefully. Okay, stay tuned, and see you on the next video.